Glass here with a finished object for you. This is actually the Christmas sweater that I chose to knit for our Christmas sweater cal in 2018. We had just a casual Christmas sweater cal over on my Ravelry page, and everyone's making the most beautiful creations for the Christmas season, and I am very excited about mine. I have been following Amy Apple of Poison Girl Yarns for a while. I love her vintage designs. I love the way she styles all of the knits that she designs, and she came out with a sweater called the Betty and Judy Lodge sweater. That is named after Betty and Judy of White Christmas, which takes place in a lodge or an inn in Vermont. I grew up watching this movie. I watch it at least once every Christmas season. I watched it once while I knit the sweater. I actually did try to knit to holiday or Christmas viewing as I was knitting the sweater. She debuted this sweater in the summer or the fall, and I was in Paris at the time and just got very excited about knitting it. And I was in a shop that measures yarn to the exact amount you need. And so I was there with a helper, and she helped me to pick out the yarn for this sweater. This is the yarn. I actually do have leftovers. I know she didn't want me to be stranded in America without the right amount of yarn. So I actually have, I would say, quite a bit left over, but I was grateful that I didn't have to buy full, huge hanks of the cream and the green. This is, I don't know what this is. You can tell me. If you know French, you can tell me what this is. In the pattern, it says the yarn called for is Lark by Quince & Co. I believe that is a worsted weight yarn, and when I was picking out my yarn, I mentioned I wanted worsted. I don't know if this is worsted. It seems more like DK to me. But then again, all of these weights between Sport and Aran, it seems a little fiddly what is what. So if I had to do it over again, I might have chosen a more substantial yarn. I did wonder how this would knit up in Clinton Hill Cashmere's worsted weight. I think it would be very lovely. So I do wish I had a slightly more substantial yarn, but this is going to be just fine. Sometimes when I'm knitting a sweater, I forget to keep track of what I wanted to talk about on the video, and I do the best I can. And many times I'll go back and edit and go, oh, I wish I'd remembered this or this. So I took notes this time. I'm really excited about that. So the Betty and Judy Lodge sweater, let me just show you a picture of Amy wearing it. It's a sweater that has negative ease. In order to get a fit that is vintage or 50s or 60s, it has to have negative ease, which means it's going to be a tight sweater. And she mentioned that you should take your measurement and then the measurement that you are, and then subtract 2 inches. So you knit a size that's 0 to 2 inches smaller than what you measure. That makes sense? So I chose to do a 30, and it felt so scary to knit a 30, but that was 2 inches of negative ease. That was negative 0 to negative 2, negative ease. So I cast that on, and so that's one thing that felt scary. I put a little face with a on it next to my notes. After you do a little bit of work on the back, you dive right into the Intarsia, which is on the front here. And I have to say, I'm not a huge Intarsia fan. I love color work, but Intarsia is not my favorite. And I don't know if I struggled with it, but I just felt like it was fiddly. And she has some notes in there about how to manage your yarn, which I did. I broke up my yarn. I had about 3 or 4 balls going. I don't know if I did it right. It sort of feels like I didn't do it right because it was a little fussy, and I was about 1/3 of the way through and put it down for a few days and thought, you know what, I'm just gonna frog this and knit the whole thing cream and then double knit over it the pattern of the leaves. And then when I came back to it after a couple of days break, I thought, that's stupid. I can do this. And I did it, see? Now you can see it on the inside, but that doesn't bother me, and I do think it looks really nice. I feel like I conquered that Intarsia. After the Intarsia is over, it is a very speedy knit. You just knit right on through this garment. I would have given myself maybe a couple more inches in the body but I didn't know how much yarn I had, and I even considered at one point maybe cutting it and adding, but that just felt like a lot of work. And when I wear the sweater with high-waisted skirt or high-waisted pants, which is what I intended to wear it with from the beginning, it's just the right length. Something I love about her Intarsia, let's go back to Intarsia for a second. What I love about her chart is she has it all charted out, and then she has the numbers. So for example, you can see there's quite a big gap between this guy and this guy. On the chart, she'll write 20 or whatever the number is so that you don't have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She does that for the whole chart. That is the first time I've seen that for color work of any kind, and it is so smart and so brilliant. When I'm going to do any future color work, if that is not explicitly typed in, I'm going to print out my chart and write it myself. 10, 12, 20. Then I don't have to count it twice. I just look at the number and then just count it once in my knitting. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. One note in the pattern, I don't know if it was me or the pattern, but the check was off. This check, it was off somehow. Like the way it was written didn't seem like, at least what I was reading, didn't seem correct. So I just looked at the picture and did what the picture said. So I feel like on the turn, going on the right side to the wrong side, it was just flipped which one to do. So I don't know if that was just my mistake or it was just a slight errata in the pattern, but that's just something to be aware of. That's why it's so nice to have a picture along with your project so you can refer to it and go, that doesn't seem quite right. The back is so sweet. There's a little button. You just put the little button on and you make a crochet hook. Just a little crocheted attachment. It's such a nice detail to have that keyhole and the button. Now, I love the puff sleeves on this so much. I think it's such a wonderful design element. It's just, there's so many design elements that I love about this sweater. I love the puff sleeve. I love the snow detail on the cuff and on the bodice here. I love the Intarsia. I love how it looks. I love the holly. Love the color. I'm pretty much obsessed with this sweater. Now, because my yarn is a little bit less substantial than I wanted it to be, it's almost a little see-through, I felt nervous about wet blocking this because I don't want it to grow and then make it even more loose. But at the same time, I do think it would be nice if it bloomed. But for now, all I've done is given it a steam block, and I like the way it looks. One thing that's interesting is when I put it on, the back kind of comes up a little bit, and I don't know what that is. I don't know why, because there are short rows in this pattern, I believe. I think I can even see them. There are short rows to make the back go up a bit, but it doesn't lay even like it does in the front. So I don't know if a wet block would solve that problem or not. But those were my different issues and struggles with knitting through the Betty and Judy Lodge sweater. I would absolutely 100% recommend this pattern, not only because it's so fun to knit and absolutely gets you in the holiday spirit, but I feel like it's going to be so fun to wear. And it just feels like a sweater that one of my ancestors would have knit and worn. You know, it throws me all the way back to a different time when slow fashion was a thing and people knit their own sweaters and made their own clothes, and it makes me feel so proud to have knit it, and I cannot wait to model it for you now. Thanks for checking in to Kristy Glass Knits, and thank you so much for participating in the Christmas Sweater Cal. I have just absolutely loved seeing everyone's progress over there, and you should go take a look because there are some very inspiring sweaters happening over there right now. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and thank you again for checking in to Kristy Glass Knits. Bye!